3D printers.
How about this one? Did you guys get this one last time?
Let's see. Okay, so this is from T Glacial Path. Somebody that obviously moves at lightning speed.
Yes.
Okay, it says, oh, he was at Kennedy Space Center in 2008.
Yeah.
So that's important to remember that date. Saw parts of the ISS that were due to go up. What parts might have those been? And so in 2008, there was a lot of space stations sitting on the ground waiting to be launched.
And the facility down there, I think with the exception of the hardware, the permanent hardware that would come from Russia, the majority of what's on station now had come through that facility at some point in time.
Yeah.
And in 2008, I know we still had cupola down there.
Yeah, we had the cupola was down there.
Node 3, I think, was still
was
there.
was sitting on the floor.
Yeah. Was there still a solar array or a truss element? I think we were all done
we had, because I flew in 2008, December 2008 shuttle flight to station, and there was only 3 solar panels, 3 solar
array sets,
array sets, and we brought up the regenerative life support system. There was no Node 3, no cupola.
Yep.
There was the JPM and the JLP and Columbus. So there's still lots of parts sitting on the ground. So basically, for T Glacial Path, everything you saw in 2008 on the floor is now currently up on station.
Yeah, which is really pretty neat to think about.
Yeah, and even some stuff that wasn't meant to go up there, like the MPLMs.
Yep, and we took one of those that became the permanent module, which is
the PM
like
square.
The float-in closet. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Did we do Thomas Short?
No.
What is the scariest thing about being an astronaut?
And the worst thing. Wow. Scariest thing. That you might not ever get to fly?
Yeah, I think that's right. Not being able to fly a mission is probably one of the greatest fears that any astronaut has.
And I think it's bigger than a selfish fear. And I think if we look at what the station has done and continues to do, I mean, I am impressed every day with how you can use this station as the example of a program that, you know, from an international standpoint has done such wonderful things for us globally, you know, as a planet. And also from the technology side, we can go further off our planet now because of it, and we can improve life here on Earth too.
We sure can. And what's the worst thing? The worst thing is when we lose an astronaut, when we lose crew. Okay, next question. Oh, here's a good one from Andreas. What are the ISS windows made out of?
You're gonna have to answer that one.
Well, that quick answer is glass.
There is that.
There's different kinds of glass. Some of the windows are made out of fused silica. And this is chosen, one, it's really, really strong, but it also has great optical transmission in the near infrared and in the ultraviolet part of the spectrum. And there's a lot of both of those parts of the spectrum bouncing around once you get out of Earth's atmosphere. So some of our windows are made out of fused silica.
But why is that important? That for us? So
no, that's for scientific.
For
scientific instruments, so we could see in places in wavelengths that you can't see when you're down on Earth because our atmosphere absorbs them. However, some parts of those wavelengths, like the ultraviolet, is really hard on your eyeballs. So we have filters that we generally keep over these windows to keep the ultraviolet from coming in and zapping our eyeballs. Other windows, I'm thinking most windows are probably made out of fused silica substrate, and then they have coatings on them. There may be some BK7 windows on station, but I think fused silica is also a material of choice because it has such a low thermal expansion, and you don't need to worry about cracking the window because of temperature swings. So even if you don't need the optical transmission of fused silica, I think they still tend to use that because of its thermal capability.
Because it gets really cold and really hot.
Yeah, it can get really cold and really hot, and you could imagine if you crack a window because it gets too hot or too cold, that's not a good day.
Now, the windows on station, is it just one thick pane, or are there multiple panes on like on the cupola?
There's 4 panes. We've got 4 panes on the cupola. We've got 2 pressure panes, and they're each about 1 inch thick. So it's a substantial layer of glass. And then on the very outside, we have an external debris pane. And this is to protect the window from micrometeorite impacts. So this debris pane is considered a semi-disposable item. Maybe once every 10 years, you might think about replacing it with a new one after it gets pitted and scratched for micrometeorites. And then we have on the inside of the window next to the crew, we have what?
The scratch pane.
And the scratch panes are scratched panes.
Scratched panes.
P-A-I-N-S.
Yes. And those outside ones, you know, you mentioned in one of the earlier questions about having to close the shutters for certain maneuvers, and you know, so we're protecting them in some way too.
Yes, we are. And the windows can get plumed. They call it plumed by rocket exhaust. So you have a visiting vehicle come up, and most of these vehicles use bipropellant, hypergolic bipropellants. Hypergolic. That spontaneously combusts. You have monomethylhydrazine and nitrogen tetroxide.
You don't want to be near it.
And you put those 2 things together and they just spontaneously combust. Which I had a roommate in college who would always define the relationship he had with his latest girlfriend as hypergolic. But anyway,
he makes bad choices.
Yeah, I think he made bad choices, yes. So you get a visiting vehicle coming up the station, and they're slobbering all these hypergolics out the nozzles, and it actually looks like slobber coming out. You'll see a mixture of gas and little solid chunks come out these nozzles, and that stuff just goes all over the place in the vicinity of Space Station. And if you have a window open, it's going to get vapor plated with debris from all these rocket exhausts, these rocket plumes. And that's why it is preferred to have the shutters closed so that the windows don't get coated with all this debris. This wraps up ISS Mailbag. And stay tuned for next week. Save your questions, send them in. We're going to do this again.